Yeah, Pepto works for me too.
Works better than any antibiotics.
Pepto.
It glums the pseudopods on the on the Mexican E. coli. They forget how to walk.
I don't think anything could fix what was going on in Mexico.
There's like a lot of information here. Okay, glums the who on the what?
Pseudopods.
Okay, it works.
I've never seen pseudopods on the E. coli, but it's
one of the medicines for.
You're getting better, Rabbi. You have your own charger now. I'm impressed.
Yeah.
Moving up.
Moving up.
Brush your own coffee.
Gets back at Montezuma.
I prefer the tray for coffee, actually.
The tray for coffee? One here, you mean? Nothing like that tray for coffee. Okay, fine. Okay.
Hey, Leon.
Hi, how are you?
Hello, good morning. Okay.
Hey, Leon, how are you doing?
How did it go to 20%? I might need yours because I don't know if this is charging. One second. Let's just
I
see.
don't know how much is on here. This is
Okay. All right, we're here. Okay, we're on a great chapter today. Okay, we are on chapter 9. We were discussing chapter 9.
Chapter 9.
And if you can figure out what page, 128, page 129.
The top. Only men must reincarnate.
This is a far out, funky text. Okay? I'm sorry?
You have an extra.
You have my book?
Why would I have your book?
It was on the table, on your table.
This is my book because it has a piece of tape. You mean you left it at home?
Yeah.
Okay, so then you get to listen. All right.
I left it at home.
Okay, fine. Everybody leaves their classwork at home.
Not me.
Mm-hmm.
The dog got it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Men must reincarnate to clear their sins because they study Torah and cannot go to Gehenna. That's an amazing statement. If men study Torah, let's assume men study Torah. Men have a mitzvah to study Torah, page 129.
Oh, 129.
Top.
129.
Top.
Oh, okay, 129.
Men must reincarnate to clear their sins because they study Torah and the Torah and they cannot go to Gehenna. The fires of someone who studies Torah, the fires of Gehenna cannot touch him. Okay? Someone who's osek b'Torah, who has the mitzvah of studying Torah and learns Torah. Okay? Can't just be anybody who learns Torah.
Studying Torah.
Whereas women are not protected by the study of Torah from the fires of Gehenna, and they can purify their sins there. What an option. Okay? What do you prefer? Right?
Here.
Burn it off now? Burn the crud off now? Or reincarnate up to 1,000 times. That means you have to go through a third grade class with Mrs. Murphy 1,000 times. Okay? So which is worse? Okay?
Well, I hope I don't reincarnate into an American to go.
Oh, that was definitely, we're going up. We've already had it arranged, so that's it. Okay, Gilgulim really only applied to men and not to women. It's an astounding idea, but don't worry, it's not an ironclad situation. Okay? And this is an esoteric meaning of the verse. A generation goes and a generation comes, but the earth remains stationary forever. Now, how does this come from this verse? A generation goes and a generation comes, but the earth remains stationary forever. A generation goes and a generation comes refers to men who reincarnate. However, women are referred to as earth. You're right, you gave me the coffee and you gave me the book, and I don't know what happened to them. They should be in the car.
Yeah.
Okay, if you want to go, you can go and look.
That always helps.
However, women, okay, so this is a generation comes, a generation goes, and a generation comes refers to men who reincarnate. However, women are referred to as earth. They are forever stationary. Okay, because women are referred to always as earth. Because, Mother Earth, right? You plant seeds, they sprout things. It is the feminine principle. And here he gives the very great general idea of how earth is feminine. Okay? Throughout Jewish literature in general, and Kabbalah in particular, the earth is considered an aspect of personification of the feminine. Okay? And this is no invention of the Rav, right? See, for example, there's another book called Share Ora by Yosef Gikatilia. Malchut, which is called the feminine, the lowest of the 10 sfirot, is the preeminent fail aspect of the sfirot. And one of her attributes is earth, eretz. Okay? Furthermore, the entire section in the Torah concerning Gilu Yarayot, that's illicit sexual relationships, is associated with the earth. This is a far out. Are you ready for this one? It's settlement and exile from it. Talking about the earth, meaning Eretz Yisrael specifically. Okay? Eretz Yisrael specifically refers to the earth. For example, it is written at the end of the section concerning Gilui Arayot. This is forbidden sexual relationships. It says, and you shall guard all my statutes and all my laws. And the land, earth, that I brought you there to settle it, shall not spit you out. There's a famous rule we have in Israel. Anybody who's in Israel and leaves Israel, it is credited as if the earth spit you out. Okay? So a lot of people have a lot of guilt complexes who lived in Israel and are no longer in Israel. Those who know, and everybody knows it because the verse says it, that the earth vomited you out with all its kishkazit.
What if somebody just leaves to go on sabbatical?
Stop, we got two people talking at the same time.
Okay.
Let's
You go ahead. No, you go ahead.
Those who went on vacation or those who left permanently?
Permanent, right?
Really, according to the law, there's only three reasons that you are allowed to leave the land of Israel. One is for a parnasa, one is for a shidduch, and one is for learning Torah. Your rabbi is there. Those are the only
What was
reasons.
the third
Your
one?
rabbi. Your rabbi's out there. You got to go learn from your rabbi. Parnasa, job,
Right. What shidduch? I forgot.
which just most people,
Yeah.
and shidduch is to marry,
Married?
Okay.
and the other one was for your rabbi for
And
Torah.
if a parent or a child dies who's not living in Israel, you
Of
can't
course,
leave?
for those kind of things, we're talking about leaving permanent.
I see. Okay, that was my question.
Even though some people even hold, you've had it, even though some people hold that, now you can share with Leon here. So some people even hold even to step outside for anything. But that's a little bit extreme. We won't go there. The idea really here is if a person is in the land and acts he's promiscuous and then end up having to leave for whatever reason. Some people are chased by the police. The land spit you out. Okay, you were nauseating to the holiness of the holy Shekhinah, and you got vomited big time. Okay? So therefore, that's why it's Gilui Arayot. Hashem, please help us. You know, once I was traveling in Israel, went to the beach, a nice little day. It was great, and we're traveling back, and my brother-in-law who was driving made a wrong turn and ended up in, it was like the red light district without red lights. It was just a huge herd of just women on this, just there in this field, dark field, a little, we know what it was. And we saw the Dragon Queen. It was a really funny scene there because the windows are down and we're like, oh my gosh, what are we doing in here? And she's going blocking my eyes. My wife, of course, she's my mishugicha, right? And she sees I guess the lady who's the head of the
the crowd.
and she's an older lady, real vile looking, and my wife says in Hebrew, she says, At Megillah, right? She says, you are disgusting, right? She says, no, she says to the lady through the window, and the lady goes, At Megillah, right? She was like, really, you are disgusting, okay? Anyways, Shem should help us that hopefully we should all have an influx, and don't definitely watch out your turns in Israel, okay? In any case, Hashem should help us,
But
really.
you go through the incarnations. Could the Jew be reincarnated into a Gentile?
I don't know. I don't know yet. I'm trying to think. It's hard to say, but no, a Jew can be reincarnated in anything.
Anything to Torah
A stone. You can go into a stone, man. A bird, a pomegranate.
So even if you study Torah, you could still be reincarnated.
So this is the point. The point here is you study Torah, we're going to regurgitate you up to 1,000 times until you get clean. That's for men. Elisha ben Abuya is the classic example of that. Elisha ben Abuya was one of the 4 who went into the Pardes with Rabbi Akiva. Elisha ben Abuya was the one who came out and became a heretic. But he was the smartest guy of all of them. He knew more Torah. He knew so much. This guy was above anybody in terms of his Torah knowledge. And he became a complete heretic. But because he studied Torah, he has to reincarnate 1,000 times. Because he does not go to Gehenna. We're going to clean him, we're going to smelter him, we're going to smelter him, we're going to smelter him again. Every Gilgul is one smeltering process. Okay? But the fires of Gehenna can't touch somebody who learned Torah.
But, it seems to me that the person who is going to repair himself would be reincarnated and had a better life than the previous life. So he can be counted as an atonement. But if he gets reincarnated
Let's
into
stop. Let's
idolater,
listen. You're
then
asking
things
all
will
the
only
good
become
questions.
worse.
You're asking wonderful questions. But if we just read on, I think some pieces will fit into place. Okay? Let's just read on a little bit. Okay? Okay. So it says here, right? Spit you out. Leviticus. Similarly, I'm in that paragraph. If the brother-in-law does not perform the mitzvah of Yibum, this is a far-out case, what happens? We do what's called the chalitza. Chalitza literally means taking off the shoe, taking off, removal. Okay? It's a removal of a invisible bond that the soul of the husband has with the woman. Okay? There's a bond there. The brother is supposed to marry the widow. And so until he severs that bond, that soul is still bound there with her in trying to come in and come back and fix what it needs to fix. So if the person doesn't do Yibum, they perform the mitzvah of chalitza. Now chalitza is an interesting ceremony. I never saw one. I interviewed somebody who did one. I haven't seen one live. Okay? In chalitza, the earth plays a prominent role. Why? He stamps his foot upon the ground with a special shoe. It's a special shoe. You can't just go to Payless, which is closed now, but Nike. Okay? It's a special shoe, very special. It's the magic boot. I don't know. It's built a special way. And she throws his shoe upon the ground because she has to remove the shoe. Throws the shoe on the ground, and then she finally spits on the ground. There's a lot of ground involvement here. Okay. So the Zohar explains that the earth here takes the place of the widow who's not marrying the brother-in-law to allow the soul of the deceased to come back in a Gilgul with her. Okay? So in other words, the ground has this symbolic personification of being the feminine that's being dejected in a certain way, right? That doesn't have the ability now to bring back the deceased husband and to have him born. Okay? So therefore, there's all this stuff with the ground. So you just get a sense of that the earth is feminine. It's always that way. Okay? The Rav has explained the indication from the verse that informs us that men reincarnate and not women. Now he will give a reason for it. and it is the first reason for this distinction that he's now providing here, right, that we're going to see later. Here's the text itself. The text itself says, the reason is that men are commanded with the mitzvah to get involved in Torah study. Okay? So men have specifically the mitzvah to be involved in it, occupied with it. We say a blessing every morning, La'asok b'divrei Torah, right? Some people say al divrei Torah. But the most of the text is, I think, Nusach Sfard, I believe. I'm not sure. I have to go check. Because I was raised Ashkenaz, and it's Lasok. Lasok is Asek, which means involvement. Occupied. What are you occupied with?
He wants to marry her and she doesn't want to do it.
Yeah, we don't. We don't force her. We do not force her.
Don't they have some sort of ceremony for that? No?
That is the same ceremony, but we're not going to force her to marry the guy.
Okay, if the guy wants to marry, why would he be? Why would his shoes be removed? He wants to marry her, and she doesn't want to.
It doesn't matter. It's the same rule. It's the same ceremony all along, no matter whether it's she doesn't want or he doesn't want. This is how this is how the bond is broken. We have to do the tikkun with the earth, spit, stomp, and chatter. Whatever.
What if he does he have to still go through it even if she doesn't agree?
What do you mean she doesn't agree?
Well, let's say he wants to marry her and she doesn't.
Because he could be a disgusting slime ball. And if she doesn't want to marry a disgusting slime ball, we don't force her to marry a disgusting slime ball.
So
Okay?
which bond is broken if she
Then there's
doesn't
an
want-
invisible bond called a zika of the brother.
of the new
The brother is
deceased brother?
hovering. The soul of the deceased brother is
So
hovering.
her husband.
Her husband.
Okay, thank you.
And that's in order to set him free. This is the formula. You can ask a lot of questions. Why is this the formula? And if she doesn't want to marry him, this is the formula. That's how it's done. That's how we
Cut the bond.
cut the bond, the invisible bond. Okay.
But then now don't recommend for that to get married to begin with. I mean, we don't.
Nowadays, no one does yibum. It's not allowed. It's always chalitza, and it's been that way for 1,500 years.
Mhm.
Period.
But that doesn't seem.
It's over.
Whatever. We can't handle these kind of situations. We can't. This is what they said, and this is what we do. We're in exile. We're waiting for Mashiach to come, and then who knows what'll happen. Yes.
Two questions. The first question is, if there's only one brother, let's say, and he's already married, is he allowed to marry another woman?
Which is probably the reason why we don't do it these days.
Right, probably not.
Okay.
Okay? Because we don't do two women. We don't do that.
Okay.
So that's probably
But
what
I
we-
mean in biblical times.
It could be done for sure.
Could be
It was
done.
done. It was done.
And so that would be kosher. And then if there were more than one brother,
Yeah.
does she have her?
Choice? It's always the oldest brother.
The oldest.
Okay.
Okay.
And you say we're in exile, not in Eretz Yisrael.
Eretz Israel is also exiled. Don't fool yourself.
Okay, why-
Big time. You could be living in Israel and there's still exile. It's big time exile. Because it's the Erev Rav. The Erev Rav is the mixed multitude. It's a Bolshevik government, right? It's Bolshevik. You say the wrong thing in a bank line, they'll arrest you.
That's right.
Okay? They can arrest you and throw you in jail.
Like everybody raise your hand? Or,
No, if you say something bad about a government official, they'll
About the
go,
government.
that's incitement to murder, and they'll arrest you.
In jail.
If you just say something that you don't like somebody in the government, they'll arrest you.
Really?
Yes.
really?
They'll say that's incitement to murder.
Well,
Do
Peter
that
Israel
here.
so many
I don't want to
times.
discuss it now. I know some people who said some things about Rabin after he got assassinated or whatever in a bank line and he got arrested. Okay? There's a lot of things that go on in Israel that they do and it's crazy.
And we
Okay?
don't- and we don't
It's
know.
exile. My Rosh Hashiva told me and it's quite clear what happens, okay? They don't favor if there's a confrontation between a Gentile in Israel and a Jew, they will always favor the Gentile no matter what.
Okay.
Okay?
My question is then.
I don't
if
want to
it
get
is-
into this. This is off topic. Please, can we stay on topic?
All right, if it's an exile, then why is it okay? Is it wrong to leave Israel and go to somewhere else permanently?
It's
If
another
it's
topic.
exile
I don't want to
anywhere-
discuss the mitzvah of living in the land, okay? Okay, I don't want to it's okay. There's there's a mitzvah to live in the land of Israel. Okay? That's all.
Even though it's an exile.
The whole world is in exile, man. No one's totally 100% connected to God every single second. Okay? The mind is in exile because we're living out of limited beliefs. Okay? We're all limping here. Okay? Welcome to Planet Limp. Because we're all limping. Okay? Okay, fine. Let's go. Okay, so the reason that men are commanded with the mitzvah to get involved with the study of Torah, therefore they cannot enter Gehenna, because the fire of Gehenna cannot affect them. As it says regarding Elisha ben Abuya, that was what I told you, he was called Acher. He was not judged because he learned Torah, but they did not give him the world to come either. He didn't get a portion of the world to come with all the Torah that he learned because he was a heretic. He broke Sabbath, he did things outright since he had sinned. So how are they going to do it? They fix him because they said reincarnate him 1,000 times. This is taught in the Talmud at Hagiga 15b, and we have already learned about it in chapter 4. We learned there that the Torah protects against the fires of Gehenna. Therefore, those that learn Torah must reincarnate in order to get purified of their sins. Now we learn for the same reason only men reincarnate and not women. Thus, men must reincarnate, right, to erase their sins in place of Gehenna. Women, on the other hand, who are not commanded to be involved in Torah, can I love the wording here, because it wasn't what I remembered from years ago. They can enter Gehenna to erase their sins. They get an option. Okay? It's an option. And they do not need to reincarnate. Obviously, it seems like, according to this text here, better to go to Gehenna, do a washout, finish your sentence, and then move on, that you don't have to come back here. Because coming back here, Mrs. Murphy's third grade class ain't fun. Okay? Section 2. Let's go. Cross-gender of souls as a result. Okay? Because of sins such as homosexuality, a male soul might reincarnate into a woman's body. Okay? A male person who committed homosexuality might have to come back into a woman's body, and such a woman will not be able to give birth without great merit and the entry of a feminine soul into her as an Ibor. We talked about an Ibor before. An Ibor is a soul that can come and kind of impregnate into the mind, into the soul, attach itself while the person is alive, and guide that person and help that person. Okay? Although women do not reincarnate, there is a certain case where they do. They can sometimes come as an Ibor into women together with sparks of new feminine souls. Let's wait. Let's see the story play out. Okay? There is another possibility when they come as an Ibor in some other woman. If that woman conceives, becomes pregnant, and gives birth to a girl, then the one that came as an Ibor, this impregnation, might reincarnate as an actual Gilgul in that daughter that was just born. You understand? Usually I was telling you all along before, the only way we can trace where this soul comes from was Yibum. Right? The brother dies, right? Now here's another way. We can't trace it, but there's an Ibor of a woman that's helping this soul. The woman gets pregnant. It's got to be a girl. So then that same Ibor now comes into the world, right? Via that daughter that's born. Okay? The Rav will return to this phenomenon further in this section. Sometimes a man may reincarnate into the body of a woman because of a sin, such as homosexuality or something similar. This woman who has received the soul of a man will not be able to conceive and become pregnant. Okay? Now this doesn't mean that any time you see a woman who can't have kids, it's because, well, you were a man's soul who did homosexuality in a previous life. You don't say that. We're not allowed to do that.
Why does God punish the woman like that?
Well, first of all, let's look at this situation.
Okay.
First of all, you never know. Bottom line, we're in this world, we don't know anything. If you just come out with this one thing after all these months, we don't know squat. Okay? One thing, though, the man did a homosexual act in the previous lifetime. So obviously he goes to the heavenly court and they go, you messed up, dude. Now they put him back down, because maybe he learned Torah. Let's assume you learned Torah, but you did this act, but he's a woman. Woman gets married, can't have kids. So you're saying, well, it's not fair, but the soul needs cleansing.
Right.
It's part of the tikkun. It's not such, okay, we'll just let go of the homosexual act that you did and let's just move on. God is not a vatran. He does not mavater. He does not let go if it counts.
Wasn't that woman,
If there's a due, if there's a balance due, there must be a balance paid.
wasn't that woman born with a healthy soul before he?
No,
Oh,
it is the soul.
Okay.
It's a man's soul in a woman's body.
If a man didn't study Torah, then he goes to Gehenna.
Yeah. Maybe they give him a 3-shot rule. For wicked people, they have a 3-strike rule. 3-strike rule there's a 3-strike rule for wicked people. 3-strike rule is, let's do, lifetime number 1, you stunk. Lifetime number 2, you really sucked. Lifetime number 3, you really blew it. We're just going to take whatever little good deeds that you did in number 1, 2, and 3. We're going to just wash you through Gehenna and just send you on your happy little way into the Garden of Eden. You'll be a midget, but you're going to be a little happier there, okay? We got a little chair, and a little table, and a little cup for you, okay? So, but, basically, 3 strikes and...
Is that what happens to all non-Jews?
No, not at all.
But they don't study Torah.
So non-Jews still have the 7 mitzvahs of Noah,
Oh, okay.
right? Yes.
But what happened if you're getting married, and then how would you determine that that woman is not really a man?
Okay, you can't know. You're right. So rolling those dice. Really, it's prayer. Please, Hashem. Please.
A
It's
body
a
is
lot
a
of prayer. You got to pour out your guts. You have to pour out your entire soul. You have to go to Amukah 5 times. You have to go to the Kotel 40 days in a row. You have to say all of it to Tehillim, to pray that God will set you up with the right one. Because if not, it's Gehenna right here on the earth. Okay, so let's go on. Okay. All
I
right.
thought there would be some kind of ritual that you can find out or whatever.
We don't have a Baal Shem Tov anymore.
No.
We don't have a tzaddik who will say, no, these person not for you. Do you know what they did in the last lifetime? Okay, so let's go on. All right, so here, and it's going to explain why, okay? This is a serious punishment, like what you were saying, okay? Barren women usually suffer tremendously, and it is. It's a tremendous hardship. It's tremendous, okay? This is because, why? She lacks the ability to raise maim nukvin, and she cannot receive maim duchrin. Now, what is maim nukvin? Feminine waters. Feminine waters versus masculine waters. We spoke about this in earlier classes, okay? Now, what's the concept of maim nukvin? Feminine waters. It was explained, right? We learned this in chapter 3. Its counterpart is called masculine waters. Now, male waters are juices that flow from above to below, such as he always is going to use the physical counterpart down here, but the physical counterpart that we have down here is only a shadow of the real world, okay? Everything is a shadow here. Everything is borrowed terminology. We can never equate it, okay? Which is one reason why we can't teach Kabbalah to people who are, let's say, unmarried, under 40, and not have kids. Because they start to get weird and their mind starts to think that all of Kabbalah is about sex. Okay? So, here he goes. Okay? So here, such as the sperm that is emitted during marital intimacy. And that's really what how we compare it to. This is how we can grasp it, but it's not what it is. Okay? It's much deeper, much higher. In the Kabbalah, this term refers to all the light and blessing that flow downward from above. Light and blessing. In other words, this is how it works. So obviously the physical bodies of the partners must be able to function normally in order to procreate to happen. Right? The Rav is adding here that some similar function must also take place in the soul bodies. In the soul bodies, okay? Souls have masculine and feminine aspects. As it is written, he created them male and female. Okay? Furthermore, the rule in the Kabbalah is that this world is just some sort of reflection of what is contained in the spiritual roots, right? Despite the anomaly under consideration here. Thus, the female soul must be able to emit juices of maim nukvin, feminine waters. This is spiritual feminine waters, and lubrications that draw downward to herself the masculine waters, the maim duchrin of the masculine soul. That's how it works. So in relationships and relations, he's going to get into it a little bit more detail on the next page, okay? There's feminine waters, there's masculine waters, okay? So you need both, okay, in order to make a child. If you have masculine waters and masculine waters, you're not going to make a child, okay? So this soul is really a masculine soul in a woman's body. It's a man's soul in a woman's body. So you're only talking about, and spiritually, the water that he's going to eject, the spiritual water that he's going to eject is going to be masculine water. So you can't have masculine water plus masculine water equals a child. It's not going to work. You need feminine, masculine, that equals a child. Okay? In this and how do you pronounce this?
Anomalous.
Thank you. Anomalous case, however, as a result of sin, the soul that is within the female body is not feminine but male. The female body is, in this case, will be able to function normally in a biological sense to emit female juices and lubrications. However, the male soul that is within her cannot do so. The consequence will be that this woman cannot become pregnant or give birth. This woman will need great merit to enable her to become pregnant and give birth. You need a merit. You need a big mitzvah. You need to, I don't know what you do. There's ways, it can be done. It is amazing. There was this great case where this woman, she was married for so long, and she couldn't have kids at all. And she was broken, and finally in the middle of the night, she got out of her apartment, took a taxi, and just says, take me to a big rabbi. I need to go see a big gadol. It's the middle of the night. And the guy says, you happen to hit the right taxi, lady, because I know Rabbi Shlomo Zalman Auerbach, where he lives, okay? And she goes there, and he happens to be, it's late at night, but his light was still on. That means he's still up. She knocks on the door. She pours out her heart and soul. And Rabbi Shlomo Zalman says, we don't owe God anything. He says, God doesn't owe us anything. He doesn't owe us anything. There's nothing I could do. And she's about to leave, and he says, something maybe that could help. If you do something that you really don't have to do, okay? You do something that you really don't have to do, and then God will maybe do something that he doesn't have to do. So she did that. She made a campaign. She went to 5 hospitals. She gathered truckloads of snacks and goodies, and she would go into the hospitals giving out to the people, the patients, or the people who were with the patients, snacks and goodies all the time. And she went to truckloads, you're talking about. She had 5 kids, or 3 kids, or 5 kids. Okay? So in other words, she went out of her way to do something that she really wasn't obligated to do, and she did a mitzvah. Went to hospitals, giving out food. And then God kind of, measure for measure, he went out of his way and did something that he really didn't have to do. So that's like a great merit. Okay? Anyway, so the woman will need great merit to enable her to become pregnant and give birth. The only way it can be done is that some other feminine soul must enter her as an ibur. In other words, she drew down an ibur. She drew down some feminine soul, part of her. In partnership, they can raise Maim Nukvin, that's the feminine waters, conceive and give birth. One has a female body, the other is a female soul. Okay.
Is the soul going to be the soul of her unborn child?
Yes.
Is this a possibility of what happened with Sarah and Rivka?
Well, Sarah had Yitzchak, and Rivka had 2 boys.
After how many years?
That's a different case. No. That's a completely different. So very important. If you see, God forbid, and no lo aleinu, Hashem should help that no woman should be childless, really. The whole world should be fixed, and the whole world should be healed. But if that doesn't mean, and I said this earlier, and you better put this and keep this in your mind, that doesn't mean you go see somebody who's childless and you go, you know why? Because in your past life you did a homosexual act and you're really a male soul because Rabbi Cohen said so. Mm-hmm. Okay? And then they're going to come after me.
Yes, they are.
Okay? I don't want that. Okay?
I have a
You
question.
don't know. We don't know the reason why Sarah
We'll blame
didn't.
it on
I'll
her.
tell you, there's a big reason why. Okay? And there's a big reason why Rivka didn't have. Okay? There's other reasons. We don't know why these things happen. Okay? Yeah.
So, in the case where now you get this Yibum female, so now you've got enough to make the conception, but that male soul, does that male soul still exist in that person? Or
Absolutely. He didn't get shoved out.
So it's a
it's an
menage
Ibor.
a trois.
Yes.
What'd you say? It's a what?
What?
It's a menage a trois. Okay, thank you very much, Doctor.
What?
Okay,
But
let's go. We're on page 131. We got to move through this.
There are
We're
two
not
types
getting
of
out of
women.
here today.
There are
Okay,
two
we're
types
way
of
past the
women
time,
that
aren't
cannot
we?
give birth. The
What?
one that are just infertile woman, and another one that has some genetic deficiency that in principle cannot have children because they have some kind of male chromosome. There's some women that are totally impossible for them to have children.
Listen, I don't look into the genes and the this and the medical. I'm in the spiritual. And because you know something? If it's in the spiritual, it'll bleed into the physical. Okay? Always that's how it works. If Hashem says, because of this scenario, it's not going to happen, then of course the doctors will come out here and they'll come up with some kind of pragmatic scope and how to look at it because of genes or whatever have you. It doesn't, nothing means, to God, anything is possible.
I just want to clarify.
Genes can change, genes can re-express themselves, and nothing in science has
I just want to clarify.
in the light of
We're
God.
talking about reincarnation and all. We're talking about Jewish people only. right?
Yes, I'm talking, let's just stick with the Jewish people right now, okay? We'll work with the Gentiles at another time, okay? In later chapters. Let's go.
Other class.
Top of 131. However, she cannot give birth to sons for 2 reasons. This woman will not, it will always be a girl.
Wow.
Okay? The first is as follows. There is a verse that says, if a woman puts forth seed and a man-child is born. Okay, so this is the classic case that we have from the pasuk in Vayikra, in Parshas Tazria. Isha ki Tazria vayalda zachar. A woman will conceive seed and give birth to a male. And they learn out here in the Talmud and Brachot, if a woman puts forth seed first, then a boy will be born. If the man puts forth seed first, then a girl will be born. Okay? Well, according to you, yes. Okay? Let's look at it as being true. Okay? So the idea really here is, okay, the idea, of course, but the Baal Shem Tov looks at it as a much deeper metaphor, and I think we've gone over this several times. When we do mitzvahs, when we learn Torah, when we do good deeds, and we do it with a juice, you got to do it with a juice, baby. Okay? That means a juice with, I only do this for a connection to God. Not because it's by rote, not because it's a habit, not because other people are doing it, or, that's what Bubby always did. Okay? We do it because I really deeply want a connection with God. That's called feminine waters. When we proactively initiate the relationship with God, so then what happens? A male child is born. Which means what? A male child means that then God puts forth his light and energy. And there's a blessing. Male child is blessing. Male is always the idea or energy of compassion. Okay? Chesed, kindness. Okay? And if the man, meaning the masculine waters, have to give first, and then the feminine waters, then a female child is born, and a female is always associated with din. Din means judgment. Okay? And that means definitely that if God has to wake your tuchus up, okay, because you're just sleeping, and then you go, oh God, get me out of this tight spot. That's called female child. Okay? Because why? Because obviously God has to wake you up with a judgment. He has to slap you, and then all of a sudden, now I'm going to start a relationship with God. Okay? So you understand what I'm saying here? If you initiate a relationship with God, male child is born. Okay? That means God behaves with you with compassion. And the force is with you. Okay? As opposed to if you're sleeping, going about your business, right? That means Hashem has to wake you up. Female child is born. That means judgments. That means he has to get you to climb. You're going to climb the ladder. You're going to climb this ladder. Okay? You can either initiate yourself, or he's going to slap your tuchas from behind to get you up. One of these, you're going up that ladder, okay? Whether you have to reincarnate 1,000 times or what, okay? But up you are going, okay? In any case, this is the one reason why he will never give birth to a male, because, right, of course, the woman is a male, just like her husband, okay? Even though that there's this ibur, okay? In this case, whichever one biologically puts forth seed first. In the spiritual realm, both partners are masculine souls. And it will always be the male who puts forth seed first. Therefore, the child must be a female. Okay? It's always going to be a daughter. Okay? Once again, I'm just going to put it forward because I can't do it enough. So if you see a guy who's got all female daughters, okay, you don't go pointing your finger and going, I was in a class with Rabbi Cohen, and he said, it must be, right, that all women female is because you, in your previous lifetime, were homosexual. Okay? So therefore, don't do that. Rabbi Cohen said so. Okay? So don't do that. Don't do that.
You
She
mean
said his wife
a
was.
homosexual?
The home wife, I'm pointing to the wife. Okay, there's the husband. There's the wife. Okay, right? So don't go to the woman and say, the mother, the reason why you have only girls is because of must have been homosexual in your life, and then you have all these e-boards come in, and you're just, Rabbi Cohen said so. Don't do that.
What page are we on?
We don't know.
131.
You don't know. Okay? She cannot give birth to boys, but only to girls. Okay? That's reason number one. The second reason is that the feminine soul that has entered her, does so only as an Ibor to help her become pregnant and give birth. It's just a helping, not an essence. Once this woman gives birth, that soul does not need to stay there any longer. For no reason. It doesn't need to hang out. The Ibor just came as like an attachment, to give enough feminine waters to get a pregnancy and a birth. At that time she gives birth, that feminine soul enters into the fetus as an actual Gilgul. Woo! Okay? So therefore now that impregnation, that soul, now she gets born. She is the daughter. Right? And not as an Ibor like it was at first. And that is why the child that is born must be a female. So here is a case where females do reincarnate. They start off as an Ibor, right? To help some. Look at that. That is pretty amazing. You just got to say, like the guy was a Shagitz in his previous lifetime, right? Is that okay if I say Shagitz? Okay. He was a Shagitz. He lived with who knows what. He did whatever sins. He's coming back. He's in a female. He's stuck. He can't give birth. And this soul is in the garden and says, let's help him out. She'll go and she'll attach to this guy who's a low-life, scum-sucking who knows what in his previous lifetime, okay? And she helps him out, and then now she's got to be his daughter. That's pretty cool, okay? Wow, souls, they really go to a big extent to help people, okay? The Zohar does bring down that the dead do pray for the living. Did you know that? As a matter of fact, the statement goes that if the dead wouldn't pray for the living, we would not live out half a day. In other words, their merits, their prayers for us help us to exist.
Well, based
they
on
do
what you're saying,
incredible things for us.
Based on what you're saying, one could deduce that almost all Jewish women are born, that was their first...
No, we can't say
Because
for everybody.
don't...
Once again, you can't say every female that is born was because of this.
No, I said quite the opposite. I don't think you understood what I said.
Okay.
I said that based on what you're saying, all Jewish overwhelming majority of the Jewish females are born the first time, not reincarnated.
Okay, we could say that. But then again, you can't say almost all. No, you can't. You don't know. We don't know the percentage.
Well, based on what you're
We don't know
saying,
how many females that are born was through this
Reincarnation is
Ibor.
an exception for a woman. So then,
You've got a good
majority are
point.
born not reincarnated.
You've got a good point. I don't know. I don't know percentage. I don't know. Okay, but let's say like according to you, makes sense, because this is kind of like an exception kind of thing.
If we are female now, it means that at some point in a previous incarnation we were male.
No.
No,
It's
that's
like what he
opposite of
said.
what I
It's like what he said. He
No,
said,
that's not what he
no,
said.
no,
Yeah,
I'm
that's
saying what he
it's the
said.
first time they come
It's
in.
opposite of what
Their
he
first time they come in.
No,
With
wait,
most women, it's the first time
Wait
they
a
come
minute.
in.
You said in an earlier class that a male is never reincarnated, that a female is never reincarnated as a male. So that means she has to have been a male.
I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure that's true. So therefore, the women that you see in this world are pretty much new
Maybe the new
in a
soul.
certain
Yeah.
sense,
They
or new in a
probably-
certain way. They're not new, the real new that we talk about, but they're.
I've been here at least twice before,
And how do you know that?
because I remember.
Cool. Okay. All right. Could be. So you did the Ibor trick. You must
Maybe.
be. Okay, let's go on.
Maybe there's another one.
Okay. So, that is why the child that is born must be male and not female. The child that is born must be female and not male. Sorry. The child that is born will be the Gilgul of the feminine soul that entered the mother as an Ibor.
Right.
So women do reincarnate, or they can reincarnate, okay? They want to help out somebody. That's the big thing. It's a big difference. You want to help out people? You want to help the world achieve its state? Or you just want to have your little pocket of your wisdom stamps or your little jewels and go collect them after you go through Gehenna and sit in the Garden of Eden sucking on your Darjeeling tea, okay? Since the feminine soul is not itself tainted, with any sin of gilui arayot, specifically of illicit sexual relationships, she must enter a feminine body. Therefore, the child will be a female. Okay? In summary, any woman whose soul is a masculine soul, as explained beforehand, cannot give birth to a male, but only to a female. The female child that is born will be the same feminine soul that originally entered to help out.
That soul that helped out, was it a brand new soul or was it one that had already died? And
I would say already died.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay? So in other words, most likely you helped out your mom, right? And then you became the child that helped out your mom. Bizarre. It's like once we leave this world, it's almost bizarre. So once we leave this earth, this dimension, we're going to be like exposed to like, oh my gosh, all the stuff that's going on. It's going to be hard to take, okay? Anyways, in chapter 38, the Rav will actually relate that the first wife of Rav Chaim Vital, his memory be a blessing, was the Gilgul of a soul of the type discussed here in this section. That is why she could not give birth. The first wife of Chaim Vital wrote down all of the Arizal's writing. He was the main student of the Arizal. Okay? And this is why she could not give birth. Rav Shmuel Vital, the son of Rav Chaim, through whom the Lurianic tradition was transmitted, was the son of Rav Chaim's second wife, who was actually his soulmate. Okay? Just to give you that little side tidbit. Okay, section 3. To give birth to a male. This section continues the previous one where a masculine soul reincarnated as a woman because of a sin, such as homosexuality, and this woman cannot give birth unless a feminine soul comes to be an Ibor within her. Okay. In the last section we learned that in this case of a feminine soul being an Ibor within a woman whose soul is masculine, the child that will be born will be a girl. The feminine soul that came as an Ibor will become the soul of that daughter in a full-fledged Gilgul. This is all what we learned already. Okay, now, if there is surprisingly great merit, okay, then it is sometimes possible that at the time that the child is born, the feminine soul that was there as an Ibor will depart and go on its way. A masculine soul will then enter the fetus and the child will be male. So in other words, he kind of changes the course a little bit and says there is a possibility for even a male child in this situation. Right? Once again, the situation.
Great merit.
Great. You got to like 10 hospitals giving out Bamba. 10 hospitals, okay? Okay, I don't know what great merit is, okay? Surprisingly great merit, okay? Afterwards, it will be possible for this woman to give birth. Afterwards, after the male child is born, it will be impossible for this woman to give birth another time, unless that same feminine soul returns, has to be the same one, returns as an Ibor within the woman as at first. Okay? In other words, she'll give birth to a male child. She did some outstanding good act, and the child happens to be a male child. Okay?
Can I throw a wrench here? What happens if the woman does something
evil?
Yeah, like homosexuality.
We'll get to there.
Okay.
Okay?
Apparently for women,
I will
it's
find.
not
If not, I will
in the
find it for you.
Torah,
Okay?
So it's kind of like a lesser sin, I guess, for women.
Maybe.
What?
For women to be bisexual, whatever.
Yes, it is. It's off the record. Okay? Because they don't have the mitzvah of purvu or vu, of being fruitful and multiply. But however, it does such actions do contribute to a breakdown in society, which is called an abomination. They call it an abomination. The word for abomination in Hebrew is toeva. Toeva actually is 2 words in Hebrew that was put together. Toeh, ba. Toeh means off track in it, meaning you're off track with society. It's detrimental to the way that society should be run. Okay? As we see now, in the culture. It's completely, if everybody in California would become like homosexual or whatever it is, there'd be no more children. It would society would just crumble, and that's what it is. Okay, you have to have a family unit. That's how God wants society to run. You cannot deviate from that norm of society. Okay.
It's been really difficult if the woman's bisexual and then the male soul comes into her and he was homosexual. We could figure out what the soul becomes. Okay.
I can't. That's like a mess. I have to let's think about that one. Yeah. Okay. Let's go on because I want to finish this. Okay. Now I forgot where I was. Where am I?
You said
Whether the child is born male or female. I don't know.
What page? 132.
132, top third paragraph.
Where it says afterwards.
I think he read that already.
Okay. Whether the child that is born is male or female, it will be impossible for that woman to give birth another time. Her soul is masculine, and she cannot give birth without the feminine soul that comes to assist her as an Ibor. However, that feminine Ibor is no longer together with her. It's split.
Right.
If the child that was born is a girl, then the feminine Ibor has become the child's soul as an actual Gilgul, actual reincarnation. If the child is a boy, then the feminine Ibor has gone her way to allow the child to be born as a male. In either case, it will be impossible for this woman to give birth another time unless that same feminine soul returns to be an Ibor within the woman once again as at first. However, this presents a serious difficulty if the child that was born was a girl and the feminine Ibor that has become the child's soul. In other words, if she actually became born, she's in the child. You can't go and like put out a text for that Ibor to come from planet whatever, and I need you again to get another child going. It's gone. She's born.
Right.
Therefore, if the first child was a daughter, then this girl will have to die, and maybe the feminine soul will return to be an Ibor within the woman as it was beforehand. Not a situation. Yeah, you don't want that. Okay, if this woman, so therefore, it's really hard to say. Okay, just like what do you pray for in such a situation? You have to be careful with what you pray for. You have to be very careful with what you pray for. Okay? Like I think we discussed this. Never pray to marry that woman. Okay? Because if you pray to marry that woman, right, and she's not your destined soulmate, right, and you marry her, then it comes time for the real husband to come in, then heaven makes a deal that this person is going to check out. It's time to check out. Right? Mr. Bonzini is going to check out. A bus is going to run over him. Look like an accident. It'll be okay. We'll make it look like an accident. Okay?
Might be a horse's head in the bed.
Yeah. He's got to go. It's time to check out. If this woman whose soul is really masculine is going to have another pregnancy after the birth of a daughter, then that girl will die first. This is because the feminine Ibor that makes possible this woman's pregnancies has become the soul of the daughter. The woman can only become pregnant again if that feminine... Why can't you get another Ibor? Ibor Anonymous, IborExpress.com. Just order another Ibor. What? That's the only Ibor? I have to ask the question. So it's kind of strange, but we see that's what it is. You got one Ibor? No. That's it. You're allotted Ibor. We attach this soul to you. There's no more after that. Obviously, that's the pattern that it's going on. Okay? If that feminine soul leaves the daughter to become once again as an Ibor to the mother, no one wants such a situation like that. You don't need it. Therefore, it's like if you got a daughter, be happy. Be grateful. Okay? If you pray for another daughter, you have to be careful if you pray for another daughter. That's why I'm saying you have to be careful with what you pray for. Don't pray for another child. Pray for another child with this child. You can pray, but pray for another child. Don't just give me another child. Give me another child with this girl, with the one thank you, God, for the one who I already have. Please, Hashem, allow her to exist in peace and harmony and grow, right, and prosper and thrive. And if you could possibly arrange another child, if for a blessing, then please do so. Okay? Don't just give me another kid. Okay? Then she will conceive, become pregnant, and give birth to a daughter whose soul will be the feminine soul that was there as an Ibur. This consequence of Ibur and Gilgul can go on many times, and the laws applicable to it will always be the same, but not a pattern that somebody should be on. However, if she gave birth to a boy, then the child does not need to die.
The boy doesn't, but
No, the boy does not need to die, but we need to send out the bat signal for that Ibur. You have to put out the bat signal, okay? So the feminine soul that was an Ibur within her has gone on her way at the time of birth, as we mentioned previously. That feminine soul that was an Ibur must return a second time to be an Ibur within her, the woman, in order that she will conceive and give birth to a girl. The feminine soul that was an Ibur needs to return again to this woman to help her become pregnant again, because the feminine soul needs to enter a Gilgul in a feminine body. The first time a boy was born, maybe the second time a girl will be born. Okay? Now, once again, that doesn't mean if you see a couple that has a boy and a girl, I know the situation. Okay? You were a boy and you did this in the previous lifetime. And okay, don't do that. Okay? This also needs great merit. You need a big bat signal to draw that Ibur. Okay? In other words, to draw the Ibur to have another girl, to have that another. It is also sometimes possible, although a girl is born first, that the daughter does not need to die. Okay? Thank God. Are we confused enough?
Yes, I'm
Okay.
confused.
In other words, maybe she doesn't need to die. Girl number one. Okay? It is also possible, even though there will be another pregnancy, that the first daughter does not need to die. How is this? It is possible that a different feminine soul. Finally! Why couldn't he say that in the beginning? Okay?
He should have.
Yeah. It is possible that a different feminine soul will come to be an Ibur within that woman, and she will conceive and give birth to a girl, and this soul will reincarnate within her as a full-fledged Gilgul. In other words, you can have multiple daughters from multiple Ibur. Ibur number one, she becomes born.
Didn't you say before you couldn't have another Ibur?
Well, it seems like he was going on a premise is that you're only allowed at one Ibur. Right. Here he's all of a sudden he's going, well, you could have another Ibur. Well, come on, let's bring them on. Okay? This woman is a masculine soul. This woman, what?
With a masculine soul.
This woman with a masculine soul had an Ibur of a feminine soul. Consequently, she conceived and gave birth to a girl. The feminine soul that was an Ibur, impregnated, right, becomes the soul of the daughter. Very good. Then a different second feminine soul becomes a second Ibur within the woman, whose soul is masculine. She becomes pregnant and gives birth a second time. The second child is also a girl. The second feminine soul that was the second Ibur becomes the soul of the second child.
I think you should remove the last 2 pages we read.
No, because you know something? I think why did he do that?
I don't know.
Well, let's finish and then we'll have a discussion. Okay, it is possible that these elements can interchange in this way. Pregnancy after pregnancy, whenever the woman conceives. However, this phenomenon also needs great merit and a powerful miracle. In other words, getting a second Ibur is not easy. That's why he dragged us through the 2 pages, okay? Second Iburs,
hard to find.
It's not easy, okay? You need a real broker in heaven, okay? You need like a Baal Shem Tov who says, yeah, we can look up an Ibur here. I got one for you, right? She's in El Segundo. She'll be here in 5 minutes, okay? We can't, we don't have guys who can make the call, okay? However, this phenomenon also needs great merit and a powerful miracle. This is because of an Hakdama that we have, Hakdama and introduction.
How do you spell it?
Introduction?
Introduction. Hakdama that we have concerning the Sod of Ibur. Okay? No soul, I don't know why he didn't give an understanding there. I don't understand that. No soul enters the body of a man or a woman in their lifetime unless there is a great affinity between them. Okay? Here's how we go. What is the code, the secret formula of Ibor? Ibor means that pregnation, right? The other soul comes and attach. There has to be a great affinity between them. There has to be a soul connection. There has to be a love, a real love, okay? Okay? The rule or hakadama stated here is an important point, and it will play a significant role in later discussions. No soul enters the body of a man or a woman in their lifetime unless there is a great affinity between them. There has to be this connection, a love, okay? You know, before we go to pray, and this is the most important thing, and I always emphasize this, we always say before we pray, Hare ani mikabel alai mitzvahs aseh shel ve'ahavta l'recha kamocha. In other words, you got to pump some blood through your veins. You got to pump with love for every single Jewish soul, alive or not alive. It has to go through your veins every single day. You have to make sure you love every single Jewish soul. And this is the reason why there has to be this special affinity. Okay? In other words, if I say Jewish people, what do you feel instantly when I say Jewish people? Right? Do you go, not too crazy? Okay? Or do you go,
Right.
just gotta love them? Right? It has to be. Okay? Because this Ibor, this connection, has to be through affinity of every single soul. You have to make sure that all channels are open no matter what. This woman whose root is a masculine soul needs an Ibor of a feminine soul. This feminine soul must contain all the qualities that are needed for this Ibor. We're gonna figure this out, okay? In addition, it has to have an affinity or a similarity to her. Like things attract, like vibrations attract, okay? Consequently, this requires great merit, and all the more so if she has to come in Ibor several times, as explained. And it is even greater miracle to find many feminine souls with the right conditions, and they will also become as an Ibor, each one at a different time. This needs much merit and great miracles. In other words, to get such a formulation lined up where you've got all these Ibors in alignment, that you can get them at different times to come and attract and attach themselves to this person, it's a lot of finagling. Okay? You need real special finagling, special merit, special affinity, and you see what has to come together. But nothing is without the realm of possibility. Okay? He doesn't say it's impossible, right? Possible. You just need great merit and miracles. But of course, prayer and tefillah always is the one that opens the gates. Okay?
So what I was...
Well, we're going to stop now, and now you can ask questions.
Well, the question is this: since there are women reincarnate very rarely, and men reincarnate quite a bit, you would maybe 1,000 times. So what I'm trying to say is that there will be, as far as the Jewish realm is concerned, 99.9% of all souls are females. And so, given that fact, a female only, so is, in other words, on a spiritual level, there will be a lot more soulmates for one man, and very few for one woman. There will be maybe a several hundred women that are soulmates of the same man. So could that be that seems to be that case. So you really could not, when you reincarnate, you will have another